Sometimes a baby would get stuck during childbirth. Back then, there were no modern hospitals, no surgical tools. Most births happened at home, with only experienced midwives to guide everything. What do you think happened when the baby simply wouldn't come out? Egyptian midwives had a birthing chair, a seated position, hoping gravity would finish what the body couldn't. But if the baby was positioned wrong, even this failed completely. When things went wrong, panic would spread quickly through the room. The mother's life was often in serious danger, and everyone there knew it. What if there was no doctor to call at all? Physicians like Hippocrates wrote about childbirth complications in detail, but admitted, in their own writings, that they had almost no real way to fix an obstructed labor. Honey and oil were used as lubricants in Egypt, herbal mixtures to ease contractions in Mesopotamia. Every culture had its own attempt at controlling something nobody could fully control. Did those methods actually work? Rarely. Even ancient medical writings admit the outcome depended more on timing than treatment. So midwives tried something else. Roman women were repositioned into squatting or kneeling poses, hoping it would loosen what was stuck. Some cultures even had women walk in slow circles around the room between contractions, believing movement itself could shift the baby into place. How long do you think a body can endure that kind of pain without modern medicine? Roman writers described labor so prolonged, the mother would lose consciousness before the baby was even fully born. Warm baths were used in Greece and Rome, trying to relax the body enough to restart labor that had completely stalled. But without instruments, everything came down to timing and luck. And here's a case that survived 4,000 years. Archaeologists once opened the mummy of a queen named Henhenit, buried around 2050 BC. Inside her body, they found a hole, torn straight through, from her bladder to her birth canal. That kind of injury only happens one way, a baby that got stuck, and stayed stuck for days, tearing the mother's body from the inside. She survived the birth itself, but that hidden wound likely killed her slowly, afterward, long after everyone assumed she was safe. And here's the part almost nobody knows. What do you think ancient doctors did when the baby had already died inside the womb, and the mother was still trapped in labor? They didn't wait for a miracle. Ancient physicians described a procedure now called embryotomy, reducing the baby's body just enough to remove it, to save the one life that could still be saved. This wasn't hidden or rare. Cyrannus of Ephesus, one of history's most respected physicians, wrote it down as standard medical practice, taught to other doctors as a real and necessary skill. Do you think even royalty was protected from this nightmare? Byzantine records describe an empress named Eudoxia who went into labor, and her baby died inside her. Her doctors tried gentler methods first. When those failed, they turned to the same brutal procedure in front of the most powerful woman in the empire. If it could happen to an empress, with the best physicians of her time standing over her, it could happen to absolutely anyone. Do you think families had any real option left after that point? Most ancient medical texts don't describe solutions, only outcomes. That silence itself tells you how little control anyone actually had. Infection was the next danger, especially once labor dragged on for days in unsanitary conditions, turning a survivable moment into a fatal one. And some cultures didn't even see this as a medical failure. Early Greek and Near Eastern beliefs called it divine will. Fate, not failure. Something no midwife or doctor could ever be blamed for. How different do you think childbirth was just 200 years ago compared to today? Because in ancient times, it wasn't just unpredictable. It was a fight for survival, one where medicine could only watch and hope and wait.